How's it going, guys? It's Cass. I just woke up and thought I'd make an update video for my first day of the league. I ended up league starting my Ice Trap Occultist build and made it up to level 82 with almost all of my white maps done after day 1. Then I slept and now we're here. Before the league, I didn't want to do much theory crafting around the league mechanic and specifically the guardian trees. I wasn't sure how early you'd get them, so I decided to focus on a build that didn't need them. But now that we know for sure that you can get these pretty fast, I wanted to talk about Oath of the Magi specifically. This passive is incredibly strong for leveling. As long as you don't have any socketed gems in your helmet or in your boots, you'll get 50% all resistance for your helmet and 30% movement speed extra for your boots, not having any socketed gems in them. This is insane. If you pair this with 30% move speed boots and a Quicksilver, you're already at 100% movement speed just from those 3 sources. The helmet tech is where it gets interesting for my build specifically. Since we want to swap into Annihilating Light at some point, we're going to be using Purity of Elements normally. But with the helmet, we might be able to completely negate the downside of having to use Purity of Elements, just because we don't use any auras in the helmet or any gems in the helmet. I think we can get to a point where we can drop Purity of Elements altogether and then pick up a defensive aura like Grace or Haste to be even tankier, or even Hatred for even more damage. I was looking into Barkskin as an option as well, since it's also on that tree. Maybe there's a world where we can use an Enlighten with Determination, Skitterbots, and Grace, and still be able to put in Barkskin. So that may be a change coming to the build in the next few days, especially if I feel like we need the extra survivability. Right now I'm using a 4-link Tinker Skin. That alone allowed me to swap to EB, so if you're like me and you hate using a mana flask, maybe think about picking up a Tinker Skin as fast as possible. I picked up one with super good rolls for like 2C, and I'm sure you could probably find one right now for 1C with similar good rolls. My plan today is to farm out my first 2 Watchstones, start farming red maps, and start building a map pool. Then once I feel like my map pool is good enough, that's when I'll start pushing into potentially picking a league mechanic to farm for this league. I'm still not sure if I want to do invitations, if I want to do bossing, or if I want to maybe try to mess around with ultimatum or like essences or something like that. Still trying to figure out what my goal is with this league for sure. As for the league mechanic, I think it has potential to be pretty good. Just currently I think it's pretty overtuned, but that also might be because we're still at league start. It feels pretty similar to Delve. I just personally wish that it had a map that we could actually see the outlines of where we're going and that we weren't just constantly running to dead ends. I think that's probably the most annoying thing about this, is not having a minimap just makes it kind of hard to see what type of terrain we can run through and what type of terrain that we can't. So far, the rewards seem pretty okay. They aren't that great, but however, when you juice mobs in your maps, they can turn into absolute demons sometimes, to the point where rares that get juiced are basically as hard or harder than the map bosses in most cases. And if you juice certain map bosses, they're pretty much unkillable for a league start character. Now normally this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but the problem is the rewards so far haven't been great, and so going through the effort of having to kill one of these super juice mobs makes it kind of feel super unrewarding when just like 2 crappy uniques drop and then a bunch of T2 rare bases drop. Basically you're getting to the point where like it's kind of similar to I would say how like Rogue Exiles drop so far, but maybe that'll change once we get to higher level maps. But at the same time, if we get to higher level maps, these mobs are going to be even more unkillable. So I don't know, there's definitely going to need to be some changes that I think will have to happen for this league to get a little bit better, and a little bit better for especially more casual players. I do think that this league mechanic has the potential to be great in a couple of weeks after they do some tuning, but for currently right now, I would suggest for people to be patient and just skip it if they're struggling, and then focus on getting your map pool set up, getting your atlas set up, picking an atlas strategy, and getting your character as strong as possible. Then hopefully the next couple of days they do some nerfs and some tuning to the league mechanic, so then your build is going to be super strong and able to just blast through the league mechanic. But that's pretty much it for my day 1. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the league so far. I'm having a pretty good time, and just going to let the video run if you guys are interested to see what the Ice Trap Occultist build looks like on a lower budget, and see how it looks in the league mechanic and what it looks like while mapping. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys have a great league start.
Too much clutter.